All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. Thank you guys for continuing to watch our videos. We appreciate you guys tuning in and appreciate the feedback and comments that we've gotten so far. Today, we're going to talk about, I guess, a topic that I think is important. We all think is important as far as like your growth and, getting to where you want to be in life. And that's having a strong mindset. So I'll kick it off with the question is, and either one of you guys, Joe and Doreen, you guys can kick it off, is like, how do you feel mindset helped attribute to where you are in life up to this point? How do you feel like your mindset has helped you grow to where you're at this stage in life so far? If it was important at all, or if it's just all will you got to where you're at.
I don't think mindset had anything to do with anything today. No, honestly, I feel like it's somewhat similar to what we talked about last time, where I think about kind of how I thought in school. So in school, I kind of had more, I guess, first to introduce the concept of there's the fixed and the growth mindset. And
Yes.
so I had no notion of that. I just thought, a lot of things that was fed to me. I thought that, I got grades, people were smart or not. And so different things like that, where you kind of categorize people, label people as certain things, instead of understanding that to get to that point, they're taking actions and doing things to improve. They might be studying at home, working harder than you, and things like that just aren't so obvious. I think kind of my first introduction to mindset, oddly enough, it'd probably actually be video games, but was really working out. So working out was something where it was like, you know what, you keep putting in a little bit of work, you keep pushing over time, you keep putting in the effort and the work, you're going to get stronger, you're going to get results, you're going to get things like that. And that, oddly enough, that same methodology and process started applying to multiple things. And, started reading the books and just kind of expanding my mind, what was possible, learning from other people, taking things in. And then weird things started happening. Like I would go to work and I used to see, people who might be more talented or better at this or better than that. And if you're fixed, you think of them as a threat. You're like, okay, this person's here. God, they look better than me, and you realize that doesn't matter at all. It's actually great if you have somebody better than you or pushing you in certain areas. And a lot of times you come to find out that they're better than you at certain things, but usually, like, if you work together, you might realize that there are things you can help that person out with as well. But when you come at it from that growth mindset angle and have the right mindset to approach this thing, you realize that, you work together and you learn and you both get better, you grow, you teach each other things. And mindset is huge, but it's honestly been cool, and I'm hoping to continue to expand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. I completely agree. Like, the importance of mindset for me probably started at a really young age. And so I consider myself blessed for a ton of reasons. But one of the things that I feel like I had an unfair advantage at is not like height or, like supreme intelligence or anything like that. Like, in my opinion, I didn't get like the lion's share of any one specific trait that most people would say we know for sure you're going to be successful because of that thing or what have you. But man, like, my parents were just really encouraging, and I know that by itself is such a huge step forward. They really helped me build my mindset because, from a young age, if you are taught to believe like you really are good enough to do whatever you want to do, then I think those barriers of like a limiting belief system were broken at such a young age that even if I didn't excel at something, my mindset was always, this is because I didn't put forth the effort, not because I wasn't capable.
Yes.
And I think that that's such a key factor in mindset, because like so many people actually just don't believe they can do something. Whereas when you have that mentality of anything that's put in front of me, I can do it. It's just up to me to decide if I want to do it. I think now you put yourself from a mental perspective, like in this powerful position where it's just like, I choose to excel at this or not, but it's not because of a lack of ability.
Hmm.
And so, I'll say that that's something that I inherited almost rather than having to build that up. And I understand that for a lot of people, that's something that they have to work to develop and cultivate. And it's an uphill battle always, but like having that as a foundation was huge for my mindset.
Yeah, no, I think that's good, and starting with that mindset early of, you know, pushing you to continue to expand it and grow it, I think are important. I would probably say, um, for me, like I didn't really think about mindset or just having using mindset to use me to grow. But I guess I've always done it, but it's just never been in the back of my mind. I kind of knew from a young age of kind of what I didn't want to do, but I didn't have, I wouldn't say like the mindset of knowing like, I guess my mindset was more so what I didn't want to do, not so what I want, where I wanted to go. But I think as I got older and I started to really understand how important mindset is and how much I actually um, use my mental mindset in order for me to achieve things, the more I realize like is very important. And that probably leads me into the next question. I hear a lot like people talk about, you know, two types of mindsets. There's a growth mindset, and then there's a fixed mindset. And we've probably ran across both types of mindsets. I would probably say the three of us probably are more in geared towards a growth mindset where we're always like wanting to learn, always wanting to expand, um, try new things to continue to get better, and improve on what we have. What do you guys thought on? Is that an accurate assessment? Do you guys feel like you're more in the growth mindset? And like, what are some kind of some pros and cons to each set type of mindset, growth versus fixed, in your opinion?
Mhm. Pros versus cons. This is one of those questions where I can't really think of of pros for a fixed
Yeah.
mindset.
I got one.
I mean, I will say this. One pro would probably be like in the short term, kind of going back to that whole short term versus long term thing. Like it can be easier. Like, you know, because of a growth mindset, you're gonna put yourself in situations that are probably uncomfortable because
Yeah.
you're going to stretch yourself. And so you're going to have to face things along the way that, someone with a more fixed mindset wouldn't have to face. You're going to have to decide on a regular basis to rise to the occasion because um when you've got a growth mindset, you tend to start to want to grow and develop, and that leads you to want to expand into things that are more and more challenging.
Hmm.
Well, th- more challenges are going to equate to more stress at times.
Yep.
They're going to equate to more demands because once you've shown that you're capable of certain things, now more is required and expected of you.
Hmm.
So it's like you painting yourself into a corner, and then you have to continue to grow to expand out of that corner.
Yeah.
So, I do think that like there is in some regard struggle that's associated with growth, just like lifting weights. When Joe was talking about it, like
Yeah.
you're gonna be sore. Some people don't like to be sore, so
Hmm.
they never get the outcome at the other side of it, which is being a fit person.
Yes.
So like, yeah, that would probably be the con is you are gonna have to be uncomfortable or in pain or in positions that are high stress at times to
Yeah.
grow.
I would say, from my opinion on growth versus fixed, I would say in a fixed mindset, um, it can be in some situations, if the person is in the right situation or the right position, it could be a good thing for a fixed mindset. But if that person's in the wrong position or the wrong area, I would say I would say the cons of a fixed mindset could definitely backfire and stunt the ability to grow, especially when someone is, I would say if a fixed mindset is more so for, and I can see like we probably all at times probably fall into where we have a fixed mindset, especially like in work environment or a corporate environment, because it's sometimes like a fixed mindset prevents you from taking on new challenges or kind of trying new things or pushing the boundaries, because sometimes it can be a safe spot where like, all right, I got this mindset to tackle this thing. I know it's going to be the right way. It's probably not gonna cause any innovation or cause any improvement, but I'm in a safe area where it gets results. So we stay sometimes in this fixed mindset. So it's easy to fall back in that. But I think that it at some point, like you hit a plateau with a fixed mindset where it prevents growth if you don't have the ability or the comfort level to be able to it's pushed down on you, like have a growth mindset to challenge yourself, or push. And that can be the same thing in life too. You get into an area where you have a fixed mindset about certain things and certain ways you do things. It can prevent you from probably finding a better way or finding a better opportunity if were more open and had more of a growth mindset in certain situations. So it's kind of my high level view of the two different mindsets.
That's awesome. I mean, it's all true. There's so much to this category. It's kind of, I don't know. I love this category. There's a book on it. I forgot. Dang, I need to remember people's names to attribute stuff better. But there's like a mindset book that I read that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks this stuff down. And then there's a quote, and I think it's Henry Ford, I think, where it's like, can or you can't. You believe you can or you can't, and either way, you're right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So much truth to that. And I mean, honestly, I think part of that quote answers your question of like, what's a benefit of being a little bit fixed and being like, I can't do it. You can dodge so much responsibility if you can't do anything. So if you're like, no, I can't. I'm not gonna do that. I need to do it. If you're just kind of good with where you are and not gonna be miserable with stuff just kind of happening to you over life, I mean, that's not a bad spot. You can be comfortable and chill. However, to your points, if you really want to elevate, if you really want to experience different things, you want to really expand your life and your experiences and really take advantage of things that are going on and opportunities. It takes getting outside of your comfort zone, because just the very nature of getting outside of your comfort zone means going somewhere you haven't been before. So in order to do that, and that could be physically, you might have to travel somewhere. That could be mentally, where you have to think and conquer something or a concept or something like that you haven't been able to understand before. So those sort of things just really open doors and give you avenues that you didn't even know would exist. And I think it's probably somewhat similar for all of us, where it's not like we knew X amount of years ago where we'd be this today. But things happen, and sometimes it's just a product of work and just building yourself up in a certain way. A door opens that you weren't sitting there like working specifically for this. It was just you've put yourself or built yourself up to a position where that door opened up for you. So I really believe that I think, like you said in the beginning, Doreen, the upside is just there's really no comparison. I feel like the growth mindset versus fixed, and I definitely think it's, and I'm curious y'all's thoughts, but I feel like a growth mindset is something that can kind of be learned.
Yeah. And I think too, probably the biggest thing for me too is like the differences between the two is like I would say what a fixed mindset is, and talking your point about um, growth mindset or like things can be learned. I would say what a fixed mindset is like you get to a point where you have certain abilities and certain talents, and you feel like is that is your ceiling. Like that's where you're at.
Mhm.
As opposed to like a growth mindset, like you get into the mindset or you believe like you have these talents and you have these abilities, but you believe like over time that they can be developed and with more effort or putting more time into learning and growing them, that these mindsets can grow over time. So I think
Mhm.
those are the two big differences between a fixed and growth mindset. Not necessarily like I would say like so I've met plenty of people with fixed mindsets that are very talented, but
Yeah.
I've also met people with growth mindsets that may not be as talented, but they have that ability to like grow and believe that their talents can expand and eventually like they end up being more successful or achieve more because of the difference in the two mindsets.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Mm. That makes me think of a question. Like when we're talking about mindset, how important is competition when you have a growth mindset? And the reason why I say that is because I want to know your take on if those are something that go hand in hand, or if that's not necessarily even part of the equation when you think about my mindset and how that correlates to like how I compete. So
Yeah.
tell me some of your thoughts on that, because I got a perspective, but I want to know yours.
Thoughts on rephrase it one more time, Jereen.
So like when you think about competition,
Yeah.
how does that tie into a growth mindset?
Well, I think from a growth mindset, if you're looking at it from competition, I would say like you welcome competition because if you're in a growth mindset standpoint, I believe that I know for me personally, like I believe if I apply myself, I can learn anything or I can achieve anything. Um, so I welcome competition because that sometimes expedites the growth or the process by having that
Mm,
competition. So I think it's a good thing. Like I would probably say like in times where I've doubted myself or felt like I'm not good at something, I would probably say competition hurts because I fall back into that fits mindset where I'm thinking like, oh, I'm not skilled at that, or that person's better than me at that, or I'm just not good at that. So um, I would say, but for the most part, like I welcome it because I think it challenges me and it speeds up that process for growth.
hmm Got you. Got you.
I guess I'd be similar. I would say that it varies, like where competition is useful and where it's not. I think sometimes, and I feel like competition can mean different things as well.
Hmm.
Um, like sometimes I might think of competition as just knowing someone is, so much better at me at X. And
hmm
Hmm.
sometimes to me, that just expands my mind to be like, oh, this is
Yep.
possible. There's this level you can attain. And so,
hmm
Hmm.
direct competition is one thing, but I think sometimes just like external bar raisers is something where it's like, okay, I need to figure out
Yes.
what this person is doing and how I can elevate myself to that level. And that's honestly like one thing that I've tried to do even in career shifts is to just say,
Yeah.
hey, what, I want to see bar raisers and be around people and understand and like just absorb stuff from people that are better, and obviously shed things as well. I definitely want to get back. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's kind of how I look at it, and that's honestly been something that's been huge for me is just to
hmm
see it and understand like, oh, I can grow here. Oh, there's someone better
Hmm.
here. And so for me,
Yep.
that's kind of what
Yeah.
competition means. Um, because in real competition, like yeah, I'm gonna be real. Like some things, I'm just gonna you kick my ass too much in basketball. Like you know what?
I don't like this sport anyway.
It might be a sore loser.
Yep.
Yeah, I hop on it looks like a pro gamer. You know
Yeah.
what? you could have this, man. There's just sometimes you're just like, okay, I'm not gonna grow.
Well, but
God.
I think the big thing there is like at least you put forth the effort to try, to at
Oh,
least experience getting your butt kicked at something.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Yeah.
sometimes like people just they give up before they even attempt. I try to like I think sometimes and I try to remove myself from like, these pigeonholing myself in like these different like personalities assessments and traits
Mhm.
about myself where I try to like remove myself from that because I feel like it's sometimes like I can put myself in those situations. Like it's so easy for me to say, "Oh, I'm an introvert," and I don't like
Mhm.
talking to people, or I don't want to be around people. I'm not that social. So I think I have to take myself. I have to remove that from my mind frame sometimes because I think
Mhm.
it gives me an excuse or it puts me in a fixed mindset to where I may not go out and talk to people or network because like, oh, I'm an introvert. I just don't like talking to people. So
Yeah.
I don't like social events. So like sometimes like I have to move. And the thing is like it's not like I can't do it because I went to plenty of events and went out and talked to people and networked like plenty of times. So I know I can do it. So
Mhm.
it's a thing like situations like that. I have to be like, nope, like don't say that. So I always like to correct people too someone when someone says, "Oh, I can't do that," they put themselves that I'm not that type of personality. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you haven't tried it, so how can you say it's not you? So stop saying it's not you when obviously like you have skills. I see skills that you have where you could definitely apply it here that will apply
Mhm.
in the same situation. So it's a hard thing to do. I'm not gonna lie, it's easy to do it, but like um, it's hard to remove yourself from time. So I try to always like remove those barriers without if I haven't tried something, I try to remove the barriers of saying I can't do it or I
Yeah.
just don't give an answer until I've tried it.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, like when I think when I was younger, competition meant something so much different. Like, you think about, mindset and you play sports and you watch, you know, karate movies or whatever. And so it's like there's a winner and there's a loser.
Yep.
It's like I want to win. Like that was the mentality at a younger age. And then you start to grow and you realize, or at least for me, it's like what other people are doing can serve as motivation and it can serve as like encouragement even. um but like I think at some point when you make that shift of like the only competition is between me and me,
Yep.
and if anything, seeing what somebody else is capable of doing is either gonna create a response within myself to say, oh, if that's possible, now it's possible, so you can't ignore it. So
Yep.
now are you going to rise to the challenge that is something you're capable of achieving?
Yep.
Because I think like there were times in my life where I had to see something happen to someone that I could relate to, or see something happen to someone that I felt was at least close enough to my demographic to say like, oh, okay, now that I know that this guy who's only 5 years older can do this, or can lead the charge in that, or can run this organization or whatever.
Hmm.
Now it's like, I'm not competing with that guy. I'm now competing with myself to be a better version so that in 5 years I surpass where I would have been if I
Yep.
hadn't seen that guy. And that's a completely different like mindset shift from, when I was younger. It's like, okay, I gotta be better than other intern next to me because we're competing for the same job.
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't really feel like I'm competing with anybody for any job. It's like
Exactly.
I just I want to compete to be the best version of myself, and then the right job or the right opportunity or the right whatever, I'm going to be positioned for it. And so that's a completely different shift in the way you think about competition.
Yeah. I agree.
absolutely. That's dang. I forgot. I feel like I had a question there. But I actually wanted to bring that up too. Is that sometimes
Mhm.
when you watch people and kind of going back to like the traditional sense of competition,
Mhm.
sometimes you can almost tell who is going to win something by who's purely focused on themselves. So
Yep.
even in those type of competitions, like if you look at races, you'll see some people like putting energy looking at other people.
Mhm.
You see those that are just kind of like focused inside, like focused on what they need to do, and they're ready to
Yep.
go. They're just getting that finish line as fast as they possibly can. And
Mhm.
it's that focus. So it's weird how it's like you evolve there in the workforce, but you could also see people on the different competitive stage
Yeah.
evolve the same thing where they're like, listen, I'm competing with myself. Wherever that ends up, I'm gonna be better myself. And usually it ends up
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a good point too. Is like, focusing on your own growth and focusing on your own achievements. Because I feel like sometimes by focusing externally, like you can lose sight of your own growth of how far you've come in certain situations by not just focusing on yourself and challenging yourself and competing with yourself. So I think that's a good
Mhm.
point you guys bring up.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it, man. I love this stuff. Joe, I know you brought up some really good books about mindset. I know you didn't really know exactly who wrote them. I'm the same way. I'm so bad at like thinking about like who wrote the book. But like, are there any other good like books or like outlets that you've used to learn about this and like help develop? Because you spoke about it being something that you can grow into and cultivate. Like, what's some good resources?
Oh man.
Dude,
Oh
I would probably tell you one, Joe. I don't know if Jareen, I know, but Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is a
Oh my
good
gosh,
mindset book.
love that book, man. You
That
ready to
book
run
will
through a
have you
brick
believe that you can
wall?
do anything. Yeah. I
no,
remember that book had me out in the winter in
he
30-degree
also,
weather running 6 miles a morning.
he also might be one of those people that just has you just, what I was talking about earlier, where you get on the stick with someone who's just way better, and you just look at David Goggins' mindset, you're like, you know what? The fixed mindset might work for me because this is taking souls, man. No, I agree. That actually is an excellent book, and that is the same thing. I actually feel like I need to listen to it now just to get a little bit more hardcore. Why not?
Yeah, that's definitely a good one. Another one that I've listened to on Audible is un unblank yourself or
Yes.
yeah.
F yourself. Yeah, that's another
Unf
good one.
yourself. Yeah, that's a good one too. Uh, that one was good for me. It was just like get out of the mindset of like stop caring what people think. Like just focus on you.
That one is it.
Hmm.
That one because that sounds real similar to the subtle art of not giving an F.
Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
That's the
That
original.
one's
I
good
think the
too.
unf yourself is the second one. Yeah, that's the one. I knew it was one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a great one. Um, Mindset, grit, and yeah, I
Grit's
think
good.
yeah.
Nice. Yeah, man, Can't Hurt Me. That David Goggins book is amazing though.
Yeah,
Like,
that one's a good one. I need to go back and reread that one. That definitely is a good one.
yeah, yeah, nice. Good stuff. I love it. I'm trying to think of like um the compound effect is another good one too.
Compound
I don't
effect.
know if you guys remember that book, but it's like it's more practical. It like
Mhm.
puts you in that frame of mind of you got all of these big things, but like let's break it down to small, tiny, incremental things, and you just do this little bit over time, and then you build on it, and then you build on
Yes.
it, and then you build on it. And I think like that's another thing that people try to tackle like these big things all at once, as opposed to just saying like, yeah, I do want to be in great physical shape. I do want to be really, really intelligent, but like I'm just gonna read 5 pages a day and I'm gonna walk a mile at a slow pace for starters, as opposed to the other side of the coin where it's like, all right, I'm training for a marathon. Like I'm gonna run until my feet bleed.
Yeah.
And I think so many times people confuse like having a growth mindset with being unrealistic with yourself
Oh
and
yeah.
taking on so much more than you can actually chew.
No, that's definitely a good point. I mean, I think the same thing too. I used to be like Joe, remember when we used to work out back in the day? We go to the gym a few times and like we just go in and just kill ourselves for like 3 or 4 days and just be like, oh man, like we're gonna get instant results. And like, no, I mean, like your brother he would just be constantly doing the same routine every day to get so much more results. And we just go and try to kill ourselves and be like, nah, then we fall off instead of just breaking it down. I think once we finally started breaking it down to like, hey, let's just target these things consistently over time, then we finally started seeing growth. But I think that's the same thing with tackling any goal. Like if you're right, Joreen, like having trained for half marathons, like it's always a journey when you start back out running, because like day one, like you can barely run a mile. And then by the end of it, like you're good. By the time you come for race, if you just follow the plan, like, oh, you get to a point where like running a mile or running 3 miles, it's like, man, this is too easy. I should be able to run more. But it's like, nope, stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
Yeah, stick to the plan.
Yep.
That's such a good point. So fellas, I actually got to run. I got to cut out early, but I love these conversations. And I think that just having the information is one thing, applying it is so much more impactful. So, you know, I I love the recommendations of the books. I love the conversation, and I hope to be able to give people practical stuff to pull out of all of the things that we talk about. It's like we're normal, like extra normal guys, and
Yes.
it's so cool from the other end seeing what you're doing and what you're doing and the books you're reading, and like that's the best part, is when you surround yourself with people that all have that mentality and they're trying to grow and they're trying to develop together. Then you just feed off of each other, and that's the healthy competition, because it's like, I want to read the better book of the group so that I can go share it with the group and tell you how
Exactly.
good it is. Like that's the kind of competition I love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys for hopping on, and everyone, thanks again for listening in. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment below. If there's any topics or anything you guys want to talk about, leave them below, and we'll see you all on the next episode.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds
Peace.
good.